Hello, my name is Alasso Travesser, and I'm going to show you the Groups Bar feature of Tab Groups Helper. This feature is in addition to the many other interfaces that you're accustomed to, the main UI panel and other ones. The drop down to switch groups. Those are all still there, but this is an additional feature that's been added, and I'd just like to cover it today. Right up here where my cursor is the groups bar, and you can see the group tabs all with the names of the groups up there. I can switch groups easily by clicking on them. The current group is bolded and in a little different color scheme. I can move tabs from the tabs bar into another group. I'll move this Mozilla tab into the anything group, and you can see it disappeared and showed up in the anything group. We can also, I'm having a little difficulty right now because of my screen recording program is a little hoggish, so things might be a little slow here. We can reorder the groups just by dragging a group tab down to wherever we want to place it, and the order of the groups in the group tabs will be reflected in all the other UIs. You can see small group, the groups, the list of order of the groups here is the same as in the groups bar. If I move small group back up here to the top, you can see it has been moved to the top. We can create a new group by right-clicking on the groups bar, anywhere on the groups bar, and start new group. This will place a new group stub here. I call it a stub because it's not yet a group. It won't become a new group until we drag a tab into it. And now we have, it has become a group that Tab Groups Helper has given it the default name based on the internal ID of the group. We can rename it now by clicking on the group tab. We can rename any group by clicking on their group tab, and we'll rename it to New Group Test, and it becomes New Group Test. We can delete it, as with any other group, by right-clicking on the group tab, delete group. It will give us a little prompt in case we're trying to delete a group that has 300 or so tabs, because this cannot be undone, and we'll go ahead and delete the group. Another thing we can do from the context menu of the groups bar is if we right-click on a particular group tab, we can bookmark all the tabs as a group. And so we just did that with the anything group. If we look in our bookmarks, we see the anything is created a bookmark folder called anything with all of the, part of this is off the screen unfortunately, but with all of the tabs that were in that group are all bookmarked. We could bookmark all groups, and what this will do is create one big bookmark folder for all of the groups and essentially do what we just did on that group for all of the groups. So we bookmark all groups, and if we look in our bookmark folder now, we see tab groups with a date. All of these naming conventions are talked about in preferences. You can read about them there. And you'll see subfolders with the groups, and within those subfolders, our viewport is off the screen right now, but it will include all of those tabs. And we can open our main UI from here, manage groups, the main UI that you're all familiar with, hopefully. So that's it for some of the more basic functions of the groups bar. Now we'll explore multi-tab operations, and if you'll notice, each group tab has its own little drop-down arrow, and each arrow will display the tabs that are contained in that group. It also has the title up here. We can edit the title here, just like we did in rename. So let's look at, first of all, let's look at doing a multi-tab move. We do that by selecting several tabs, of course. And there's 3 ways we can do this. The first way would be just to select the tabs, click on the Insert Into button, hover over the group that we want to insert our tabs into. Let's move them over to New Stuff. And then we'll click at the position where we want to insert the tabs. We're going to insert them right below the jQuery tab here. And we should see the tabs disappear from here and appear here right below jQuery. And as you can see, that has happened. The nice thing about doing operations from this panel is all multi-tab operations that you do from this panel can be undone if you undo it right away. You can't let that lapse too long, because once you start moving tabs or changing things, that feature is no longer available. Okay, let's look at the second method of moving tabs. Again, we'll select our tabs. This time we're going to drag them, and we'll drag them over the Insert Into button, drag them over the group we want to move them to, and you can see a little red line appearing. This is where the tabs will be inserted. We'll insert them right below Alternator Theory here, and voila, it's done. Undo, and we're back to where we were. And then the third method, again, select our several tabs, and you can select as many as you want. You can select them all if you want. This time we're going to drag the tabs directly over a group tab, and this will insert the tabs at the end of that group. And if you have a good memory, you'll remember that those were the tabs that we moved. We'll hit our undo. It doesn't matter from what panel you hit your undo button, it will still undo the last move. And one little thing I want to point out about this feature of moving tabs, multi-moving tabs, is you don't have to move to a different group. I can move these tabs into the same group, the anything group, but I just want to position them in a different place. I want to position them down here rather than up there, and you can see both UIs reflected that change. And this may not seem like a big deal for the low number of tabs that we're dealing with now, but if you were doing multi-tab moves, it could be advantageous. Okay, so that's it for moving multi-tabs. Other operations would be we could bookmark the selected tabs, and this will bookmark these tabs, and it will say anything selected, anything with the name of our group, and it only bookmarked those particular tabs in the group. Another operation we can do, select tabs and close selected, and that will close only those tabs. Hit our undo button again to undo. And one final thing, delete group. This is a little different than deleting group from the groups bar, and that is because wham, it's going to delete it forthright. That group is gone. However, as with all other multi-tab operations, we can undo that delete by clicking undo. And again, I want to say you need to be right on that. You can't let things lapse, or your undo option will disappear. Okay, let's see. Anything else we need to look at here? Let's look at the prefs, and not those prefs, excuse me. I'm getting a little confused here. Options for tab groups helper. We open our prefs options, and two options apply to all that we've talked about. One is the groups bar option. We can choose to position the groups bar below or above the tabs bar. This comes with a little caveat, and that is if you're using Windows, excuse me, Windows or Mac, and the tabs bar is in the default position, you will only be able to position the groups bar below the tabs bar. However, there are some add-ons which alter the default positioning of the tabs bar in those in Mac and Windows, and I happen to be using Classic Theme Restorer, so as you see, I'm able to change that option. This alters the groups tab, the width of the groups tabs. Let me see here. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little confused. Okay, so if you watch the group tabs up here, you'll see as I change this number, they get bigger and smaller. Groups bar panel height and width. These two here control the size of the group bar panel, which is this. I'm not going to demonstrate that specifically. Again, we keep losing our options window. I'll move it off to the side a little more so I can grab it easier next time. Show tabs count in group tabs. You can see little numbers are appearing here at the right of the group tab, which show the number of tabs in the group tabs. These will hide some of the options in the manage group items, in the context menu for the groups bar. So if you don't need those, you can just remove the clutter. Other options that will affect the way the groups bar appears is we can not show the options to bookmark the various bookmarking options. And so now you can see we have a pretty minimal context menu. So if you don't need all that other stuff, you can clean things up a little and not have so much clutter. So I think that pretty much covers everything. I may have missed one or two items, but anyway, this should give you a pretty good feel of the groups bar and how to use it. Thank you for listening.